What will you do as a mermaid if you help someone and they want to end your life? Lydia lived in the bustling city of Lagos, a 28-year-old beautiful lady. She was tall and slim like a model. She lived alone in the city, while her parents were in the village. 5 years ago, her parents had to sell their cocoa plantation. Lydia was talented in using beads to make many things: bags, shoes, chains, bracelets. People gasped when they saw how beautiful her work was. They admired it, but the villagers were broke, and only a few could buy it. Some had not even eaten. "How we wish we had money," they would murmur sadly. This did not help Lydia move forward in her business. Since she was young, she had always wished to be the #1 bead maker. Because of this, her parents gave her money and she went to Lagos. Because of her perfect skills, it wasn't long before she gained popularity. She opened a large jewelry shop, and people kept buying her beautifully crafted beads, from bags to necklaces, bracelets, shoes, clothes, even book covers and phone pouches. Things were going smoothly for her, but Lydia had one bad behavior: lying. When her parents called to ask for money, she would lie that she had no money, and only send them little. If they asked for 100,000 naira, she would send 10,000 naira, claiming she had slow sales. After sending the little money, Lydia would hiss in disgust, saying they wanted to ruin her life. But she would go to clubs, order expensive drinks and food, spend money lavishly, and even bought a house for her boyfriend. Suddenly, things stopped going well for her. People stopped coming to her store. Those who came would hiss and complain that she kept making the same old designs. No one wanted to buy from her. They claimed beads were no longer trending, but Lydia saw them buying from another store. Lydia became frustrated. Her once busy shop now had no customers. Her staff resigned one by one when she couldn't pay them. She was left alone in her big store. She sat by the counter table and burst into loud tears, frustrated. "What am I doing wrong? Why is my life turning upside down? They said beads are no more trending, but they keep buying from someone else. Oh God, help me," she wailed on the floor. The landlord of the house she stayed in came to send her away when she didn't pay rent. Instead of buying a house for herself, she had bought it for her boyfriend, claiming more money would come and that her boyfriend deserved more. She packed her load to stay with her boyfriend Sigan, but to her surprise, he had another woman on his bed. Sigan denied knowing her. "Sigan, it is me," she cried, but he hissed, holding the woman by the waist. "Go away," he said and slammed the door. She cried uncontrollably on the floor and returned to her store. While crying on the floor, her mother's call came in. She was too ashamed to speak, but she answered. "Mama," she cried on the phone, but instead of her mother's voice, it was a nurse telling her that her mother was sick and her father had been admitted. Hearing this, Lydia's heart was shattered. She packed all her beads and left for the village. Her heart broke seeing both her parents sick. She had no money to take care of them, as she was seeing them for the first time in 5 years, and they were at the edge of death. She asked for their forgiveness, sobbing uncontrollably. They forgave her easily and all smiled. Lydia had to sell her expensive beads at cheaper prices to pay her parents' bills. They returned home, and Lydia became an obedient child. She swept, cooked, and cleaned the house. Her parents loved her very much despite all she had done. One evening, the sky was cool. Lydia was on her way to the river. The bushes at each side of the narrow lane were peaceful, and the birds chirped softly. The route was silent, which had never happened before, but Lydia didn't care. She needed to fetch water to cook for her parents. The river was calm and silent. The water glowed, and it looked cleaner than before. Lydia was happy because she needed clean water to do her chores. As she bent to fetch water, the river made a wave. She fell down at the sudden wave, something that had never happened. When she recovered from the fall and glanced up, her eyes widened. She gripped her bow to her chest in fear. A mermaid standing on the clear river, her long red hair is shining and glossy. She wore golden beads on her neck, and hands her tails is bright red and golden dotted with red pearls. Lydia was captivated by what she saw. Are they real? She thought in disbelief. She thought mermaids were just stories passed down from generation to generation. Who are you? Her voice shook with fear, still sitting on the ground. I'm no one and everyone, the mermaid said gently, and Lydia was captivated by her angelic voice. I'm not here to harm you, the mermaid added, but Lydia was still afraid. She looked around for anyone, but no one was in sight. Everywhere was extremely quiet. What do you want? She managed to ask, rising to her feet slowly. The beautiful mermaid smiled. I'm here to help you. Hearing that, Lydia was shocked. She dropped her bowl on the floor. Help, she repeated. In what way? I know you were once a successful bead maker, but things stopped going well for you when you abandoned those who helped you in the past. Lydia's eyes filled with tears as she regretted her actions. But you have repented, the mermaid said. Yes, mermaid, I have, Lydia replied. I regret everything I did. If I could turn back the hand of time, I would correct my mistakes, she said, hot tears rolling down her cheeks. The mermaid was moved by her tears, so she gave Lydia her bead of life, the big, glowing red pearl. With it, her life would change forever. But there was a condition. Lydia must come back after 3 months to stop the villagers from cutting down a big tree near the river. After that, she would return the bead of life. Lydia was overjoyed. She knelt by the river and thanked the mermaid with her hands clasped together. Thank you. I will gladly return it 3 months after, she promised, hugging the bead tightly to her chest. The mermaid nodded, then disappeared. Lydia grabbed her bowl, hid the bead inside it, and ran home. Why are you so late? Her mother asked when she returned. She explained everything to both her mother and father, who were shocked. When she revealed the bead, to everyone's surprise, there were bundles of money, 500,000 naira, along with plenty of beads of different sizes, all red in color. Lydia and her parents rejoiced that evening. The next day, Lydia gave her parents 200,000 naira and left for Lagos with the rest to start her business again. She made many fine things from the never-ending beads, bags, purses, shoes, necklaces, rings, and much more. She became popular once again. People trooped in to buy her goods. Bloggers promoted her business on the internet. She became rich, owned big cars and houses, and had many stores. But Lydia forgot how she got there. She no longer spoke to her parents, leaving them to suffer like before. Worse still, she forgot the promise she made to the Red Mermaid. She never visited the village, even when she heard the tree was about to be cut down. She also planned to keep the bead of life, thinking the mermaid would never find her. 2 months after the 3-month deadline, Lydia woke up one day to the most shocking thing. Her thighs had turned red and were covered with rough scales. She screamed in shock and ran to the bathroom to wash them off. But the more water touched them, the more the scales spread, until her legs were covered. She packed her bags, ready to run back to the village, but the Red Mermaid appeared, looking very angry. Humans are ungrateful, she said, bitterly. Lydia shivered in fear, tears rolling down her cheeks as she begged for mercy, but the mermaid was not ready to listen. She had given Lydia enough time, but her greed would now have consequences. You will regret breaking your promise, the mermaid said, her voice full of anger. Suddenly, Lydia's hands also turned into rough red scales, shaped like claws. She cried in horror, rushing toward the mermaid, but the mermaid disappeared, leaving her alone. Without thinking twice, Lydia ran outside with her hands and legs covered in scales. People gasped, pointed, and laughed. They called her names, accused her of evil, and even chased her away. By the time Lydia returned home, she was weak and broken. She wept bitterly on the floor, regretting her actions, but it was too late. She passed away while crying, after being disgraced. The mermaid then helped Lydia's parents anonymously. She changed their shabby house to new house, gave them money and hired someone to look after them. Though Lydia's parents were sad about their daughter's ending, they prayed and hoped God forgive her. The end. Promises are not meant to be broken, no matter how small or big. We should always keep them. And when good is done to us, we shouldn't repay it with bad, making the world worse for others. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed every bit of it. Will you tell us 1 or 2 lessons you learned from this story? Other joke we'll be reading. Please like, comment, and share. Click the subscribe button. Thank you, and bye for now.